this is just, we're going to pretend this is just one segment in a longer class, unless one. Alright, you already? Alright, so basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to do power supply. So I'm just going to go through some theory. That'll take 10 minutes. Then I'll show you all how to test the power supply. That'll take 10 minutes. And then you'll go. Right, so the end is it. And that's a wrap. All classes could be that short. Right? You're free to ask questions if you want. You already know the stuff. So you can ask. You can stop and ask. So it can be interactive. It doesn't have to be one way. Yeah. Cool. Alright. So you're recording already, right?
Yeah.
So I'll just begin and then I suppose you could edit. Getting this?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so let's begin. Good evening, everybody. So, afternoon. So, we're going to start power supply units. This is one of the most important components in the computer. It's also one of the most prone components to fail. If something is going to fail, the power supply is probably going to fail before anything else, usually. So let's look at the theory of power supplies. What we're going to cover here, we're going to explain the main terms used to describe and measure an electric current. That's just some terms that we're going to go through to understand what the power supply does. Identify the main functions of the power supply. Identify the main connectors of the power supply. We're going to list the voltages supplied by the power supply. And then finally, and this is the fun part, we're going to test. I have 3 power supplies here. 2 are not working and 1 is working perfectly. So I will break it. So we're going to test these 3 and we're going to see how we can figure out why these 2 are not working, and then we'll see what a properly working one is. Right? Okay, so a couple of terms we're going to cover here. Voltage. This is probably one of the more common terms you will hear when testing a power supply. Voltage measures the pressure pushing the charged particles through a wire. When you think of voltage, when I think of current, what I think of is a hose, like a garden hose, and you have water flowing through the hose, right? You have a pressure pushing the water, and then you have a certain amount of water coming out at the end, right? Voltage is essentially a measurement of the pressure pushing the electrons through your wire, through your conductor. And of course, it's measured in volts. We're going to use this, a multimeter, to measure volts. In fact, that is the main way to test that a power supply is or is not working, to see if it's providing the proper voltage on the respective wires. Okay? Just some others to know. Amperage. Amperage is a measurement of the amount of charge passing through your wire. In testing a power supply, we don't really measure the amperage. The amperage is measured in amperes. But it is something to know. It's something that factors in. Wattage. Wattage is a measure of the rate at which electric energy is transferred by an electric circuit per second. Okay, so that's basically a fancy way of saying it's the amount of power, it's the amount of energy that any device is either consuming or transferring. This is an important unit to know. The power supply has written on the side of it, on a sticker, the maximum amount of watts, the maximum amount of power that it can supply to the components in the system. If your power supply cannot supply enough power to the components in your system, the computer will not turn on, it will do weird things, like it will freeze at certain points and might spontaneously restart. So, knowing this value and estimating how much power the components in your system are using is very important. We'll look at that a little later on. What you can calculate that by multiplying volts times amperes. Generally, you don't really need to do that. Not for what we do. Alternating current. I'm sure you've heard these terms already. Alternating current, DC current. Can anybody explain alternating current? Or where would alternating current come from? Where have you heard this term already?
That about most electrical items.
that's the type, that's the form in which it comes through a power outlet from TNTech, right? Could anybody explain what it means? What it means by an alternating current? Why is it alternating? When you say alternating, what do you think it means? Like going back and forth, right? So you know that with electricity you have a positive and a negative, right? With an alternating current, the charge flows in one direction, and then the positive and negative terminals, they reverse. So essentially what happens is the charge, let's say this is your wire, the charge is flowing so, and then positive and negative reverses and then flows so, and then it reverses and then it flows so. So essentially what you have is the charge is going along the wire like so, and coming back, going forward and coming back. So it's alternating because the poles are changing. So this is the main form that power comes into your home. Then you have DC current. Now this one is more straightforward. There's a fixed positive, there's a fixed negative. Current flows in one direction. It's forever flowing in one direction. Direction does not reverse. So like what do you all know? What devices you all know uses a DC current? What have you all run into using DC current? Amplifiers. Okay, right. Very good. All the components in your computer use DC current. So one of the main functions of the power supply is really to convert the AC current coming from the wall outlet to DC current. Cool. So, three functions of your power supply. So we stated one already. Converts AC current to DC current, very important. Second function, it breaks down the voltage to what is required by the devices. What is the voltage of the current coming in the wall outlet? 110 volts, right? The components in your computer do not use 110 volts. So the power supply is going to break that down. And we can see voltages is going to break it down to in a second. It also does a third thing that you might not think it does. Power supply actually has a cooling function. Power supply plays a major role in cooling the inside of your computer. The fan in the power supply, you see it more clearly, well, you're not seeing it too clearly here, but it's cool. The fan in the power supply extracts air out, so this is going to be the back of the computer case, this is the inside here. This is the back of the computer case. This sucks air in this direction, through the vents here, and then it goes out there. Now this is usually going to be at the top of the case. So here you're going to have your components. Hot air rises. So there's a reason why they put it at the top of the case. Hot air rises, it's sucked in here, and then it comes out here at the back of the case. This is one of the main components that cools your computer. The additional fans that you might install, they really provide extra cooling. Right? So let's look at the connectors on your power supply. Can you all identify some of these connectors? Does anybody know what this one is called? These two here. These are two small connectors. Yeah, these are DVD ROMs, optical drives, all the hard drives use them. Anybody knows what their name? Molex, very good. So this is the Molex connector. All the optical drives, all the hard drives use these. The newer drives use the serial 88 power connector, which is this one here. Right? Newer optical drives, newer hard drives use this one. We have this little guy. This little guy is called your mini or mini Molex. Anybody knows what this was used for? Floppy. So we virtually don't use this anymore, right? Then we have these two guys here. So this one, these two actually go to your motherboard. This one here is a 24-pin P1 connector. This goes straight into the motherboard. Now in the old days, this originally had 20 pins, right? So this comes apart like this. It originally had 20 pins, and then there was an extra one that went to the motherboard. And that became so standard that they said, okay, we're gonna combine them together into a 24-pin connector. So now we have 24 pin, right? And you still have this extra one here now that goes to your motherboard. This one is specifically a 4-pin 12-volt connector. This supplies power specifically for your CPU, right? So this is 24-pin, your 24-pin P1. This is your 4-pin 12-volt connector, right? Now, some motherboards actually take 2 of these. So you actually have on your motherboard an 8-pin connector for 2 of these. That's in systems where the CPU is a very high-powered CPU, one of those extreme CPUs, like 6-core CPUs from Intel. Okay, let's look at the voltages and then let's do some fun stuff. Let's test. So your power supply basically breaks down your 110 voltage from the wall outlet to 3.3, 5, and 12 volts, right? Now the color of the wires indicate the voltage. So we have here, you see a number of yellow wires. On this bundle, on these bundles here, the yellow wires, all of them test positive 12 volts, right? The red wires, as you see here, are positive 5 volts. And on this bundle specifically, you see orange wires. And these test positive 3.3 volts, right? Now here's why you need to know this. You need to know this for one specific reason. When a power supply is malfunctioning, it either malfunctions in one of 2 ways. Either it doesn't come on at all, so when you try to turn it on, it's not turning on. And that's actually the best way for it to fail because that's straightforward. If it's not coming on, it's not coming on, it's obviously not working, right? And that's the case with this power supply. You'll see me try to turn it on, it's not going to come on, so we know it's not working. This guy is trickier. This guy is trickier because this guy is turning on. But when we test the voltages, you'll notice that it's not going to test exactly 12 or 5 volts. You'll notice that the voltage fluctuates. The multimeter will give you a reading that fluctuates. And that's actually trickier to diagnose because when the voltage is fluctuating like that, the computer would come on, but it would freeze, or it might reboot, or it might cut off. And if a computer is freezing or rebooting or just cutting off, that's actually a symptom of a variety of things, not just power supply. It could be a symptom of bad RAM. It could be a symptom that Windows is just freaking out because it has bad drivers or bad software installed in it. It could be a symptom that your CPU is overheating, right? So usually when I have a computer that's behaving like that, where it's just spontaneously rebooting or freezing, the first thing I do is I either check that the CPU I check the CPU temperature to make sure it's not too hot. I go into the BIOS and there's a section where you can see the CPU temperature. Check that first. The second thing I check is the power supply, that it's providing proper voltage, right? And after we eliminated those two, I then go and check RAM and those other things, Windows, and so forth. So let's test the power supply. Let's test these 3. First things first. When you're testing a power supply, you should put a load on it, meaning that there should be some device connected to it that's pulling power. Because a power supply could give you a proper reading when there's nothing attached to it, and then when you plug it into the computer and something is pulling power from it, boom, it starts to malfunction. So what you could attach to it is a hard drive or a couple of the cooling fans. Riyadh, there's a hard drive over there. Can you pass it to me, please? Yeah, right underneath the package. Second thing, you don't know how to turn on a power supply without it actually being connected to a computer. Thank you. Will I try that? No? Alright, I'm going to show you all on the guide trick. Okay, so if you all see this? I don't think you all can see this. If you all come in and come right here, I'm going to show you how to test these things, how to turn it on. Some people can stand here, some can stand on this side. Some people, 2 persons can come over here. Yeah. Alright. this, but not in use. Okay. It's a bad hard drive anyway. So I'm just going to rest it there. Okay, so one of the easiest ways to know that the power supply came on is to see the fan spin. Of course, we also want to test the voltage. So look at how you do it. In the P1, in every P1 connector, you'll notice there's one green wire. It stands in zone. If you bridge that green wire with any black, so you're bridging the green with any black is a ground wire, you're going to turn on the power supply. That's what the motherboard does. So you can use a paper clip that I opened out like this, and I'm going to connect it, I'm going to stick it in the green wire and one of the nearby black. So that there is going to cause the power supply to turn on, right? So let me pull this out, plug this in, Riyadh, if you could just hold it for me like this. Yeah. So watch the fan. Okay, so the fan spins, right? So it came on, but is it working? So what I'm going to do with the multimeter is I'm going to flip it here. So I'm testing DC voltage. It says DCV. I'm testing DC voltage. I'm testing voltages less than 20 volts. So I set it to DCV 20, right? This is the positive probe. This is the negative. What I usually do is I test it using one of the Molex. So the red wire, what's the voltage of the red wire? Anybody? 5. Right. So I'm going to stick the positive probe into the red. I'm going to stick this into any black. So I'm going to be nearby black there. And I see here a reading of 5.18. You're not always going to get exactly 5 or exactly 12. Right? But once it's within that range, plus or minus 5%, it's a valid reading. Right? Sorry? Yeah. Then I'm going to test the 12 volts, and I get exactly 12. Well, that's perfect. 11.99 volts. Okay, cool. So this power supply is good. Let me show you two power supplies that are not working. Let's go with the easy guy to figure out. So this guy, plug him in here. I think I dropped my paper clip. Oh well. See that? Okay, thank you. Okay, so how do I turn this on again? Bridge to green with any black. Right, so this green here goes to that black there, and nothing, right? Nothing. So that's straightforward. He's not working. Cool. So you change it, and your job is done. But then you have this guy here. So this guy, you would see, like I turned on without me having to do anything. Right? So this particular power supply is not a standard power supply. This one came from some micron computers we own. Right? So it's not a standard size. You would not get one like that to buy at the store. So it comes on, so you think that it's working. Let's test it. So I'm going to test the yellow wire. What's the voltage of the yellow wire again? 12. Which would happen? You notice it's fluctuating wildly, right? It's going from 8 to 10 to 11 to 8. That's not good. It's not supposed to fluctuate like that. It's supposed to be stable, right? You test 5 volt. Again, it's fluctuating wildly. Notice that, right? goes down to 4, comes to 5, 4.5, and 5. What do you think a computer with this power supply would do? How would it behave? Might cut off and freeze on you. Might harm your drives. Yeah, it could harm your drives. Might restart on you. Right? So this computer would be unstable. And you would suspect a number of different things for it being unstable. But testing the power supply is one of the first things I would know this behavior. Okay? Alright, cool. That's actually the only thing that you'd ever use a multimeter for when you're doing these repairs, testing the power supply. Alright then, well, any questions? Can you identify a power supply now that's not working? How would you test the power supply? Use multimeter. Right, how do you turn it on? Yeah. You bridge the green and black. You could actually buy a little device. They sell these on Amazon, a power supply unit tester that you can plug all of these connectors into, and it has a little button on it. You push it, and that would actually bridge the green and black wire for you. Turn it on, and it has a built-in multimeter. The LCD screen would show you the correct voltages, and it would show you if it's not supplying the correct voltages as well. Right? It's a cool little tool to invest in. All right then. Well, that's it for power supplies.